Good morning, majors. Today we're going to start by going over properties of triangles. So this is Notes, Unit 4, Day 1. So this is our warm-up. This is just going over your parallel lines and transversal. This is actually on your part of your test. This was part of your test. So was number 2. And then what we're going to start today is called the triangle sum theorem. This is very important. We actually went over it in the last section. We said the sum of the measures of the angles of a triangle has to add up to equal 360. 360 degrees. So what that means is these three angles of a triangle, angle C, angle B, that's 100, and angle A, that is 30, they all have to add up to be 180. So what we do is we add up the angles that we're given. We have to be given 2 of them, or algebra, some type of x's to add them up. And we're going to set them always equal to 180. So first, just add them up. Put a little plus sign here. 100 plus 30 is 130. And then we're just going to subtract it from 180. So 180 minus 130. Put that into your calculator, and you're going to get 50. So that means that angle C has to equal 50. And you can always check your work by adding all the three angles together again and making sure that they equal 180. So just like a straight line, the angles have to add up to be 180. We said a linear pair, the angles have to be add up to be 180. Supplementary angles have to add up to be 180. This also, triangle angles have to add up to be 180. Remember, we have this little box right here. This means 90 degrees, so go ahead and write it in there. That means 90. And this one right here is 45. M is 45. So we need to find the measure. This little m means measure of angle L. This is angle L right here. So we're just going to do the same thing, add them together. 45 plus 90 is 135, and then subtract it from 180. So 180 minus 135, that'll give us L. So we know this is 45 right here. 45. This is actually a very popular triangle. If we have a 90-degree triangle, a right triangle, and one of the angles is 45, the other one is always going to be 45. So this is something that we're going to see over and over again in next chapters also. Ooh, sorry, guys. Okay. So let's look at this next triangle. There's a lot going on right here. I would say just pick one triangle first to look at. I'm going to look at this triangle right here, ADB, and maybe draw it on my whiteboard. And on the test, I would look at that first because that one only has one variable, and the other one has y, and z. So that's 2 variables. We can't figure that out. So there's too many options. So I'm going to just change my color right there. And what we're going to do is find x first. So we have right now 43 and 59. We're going to add those together, and we're going to subtract that from 180. So we have 180. If you add it together, 43 and 59 in your calculators, that's going to give you 102. And if we subtract those, 180 minus 102, that gives us 78. I can't tell where I'm writing. So this down here means that my x is 78. And then x and y form a linear pair. So if I change my color, if you guys can see, this will add up to be 180 right here because it forms a straight line. So we're going to say, well, x we know is 78, so 180 minus 78, that gives us 102. That's what we looked at up here. So our y has to be 102. 102. And then for our right triangle, we have C, B, D is also a triangle, and there are three angles. We know that Y is 102. We know that the top one is 49. Now we just have to find Z, and I want you guys to try this out. So you're going to add them together, subtract it from 180. Pause your video right now and try it out. So this is just an extension to the triangle sum theorem. It says the acute angles of a right triangle. And you guys have to know that a right triangle means that there is a 90-degree angle. There's a 90-degree angle, only one. So the acute angles, angles that are under 90 degrees of a right triangle are complementary. We know what complementary means. It means that they add up to be 90 degrees, right? They have to add up to 180. So 90 plus 90 is 180. Also, the measures of each triangle, the measure of each triangle in an equal angular triangle is always going to be 60. So if your triangle is equilateral, which means all the sides are equal, or equal angular, which means all of the angles are equal, write it underneath, angles are equal, all of them are equal, then they all have to equal 60. So if you did that in your head, or if you know that all the angles are equal, but they have to add it to be 180, 180 divided by 3 angles in a triangle will always give you 60 degrees. Okay? Go ahead and flip your paper over. We have the exterior angle theorem. This is a very, very important theorem. It says that the measures of the exterior angle will always add up to be the sum of the two remote interior angles. So the measure of the exterior, so the exterior angle is formed by extending a side. So if I extend AC and I keep on going, this is my exterior angle. This is formed and it's equal to the sum. Sum means add the remote interior angles. So the two interior angles that don't touch this exterior angle. It's not going to include this angle right here, the C, but when we add them up, so that's what we're going to do. The sum means add x plus 65. That's going to equal my exterior angle, which is 2x plus 10. Okay, move your x's to the side with a bigger x, which I see my 2x is bigger. So I'm going to subtract my x, and then I get 65 equals x plus 10. And then I'm going to subtract 10 to move it to the left-hand side. And I have 55 equals x. So that is my x. That's what x is. My base angle theorem is if two sides of a triangle are congruent, then the angles opposite them are congruent. So this has to do with isosceles or equilateral triangles, but specifically isosceles triangles. If we have two sides of a triangle that are equal, then my opposite angles will be equal. Okay? The converse just means that you're going to flip it, right? So if this is your P, after your if is your P, and then after your then is your Q, all you're going to do is you're going to flip it and write it down there for us. So this is Q first, and then P for converse. So if the angles opposite them are congruent, then two sides are congruent. So you guys can write that down there. And these are just examples. If these are my sides that are congruent, you're going to need some colors this section for labeling congruent sides and angles. This little dash, this red dash, means that it's equal, the side is equal to this dash. And we just learned that that means my opposite angles are equal. So this red dash is opposite to 46, and this red dash is opposite to x. So that means that we know that x is also 46. And then we have to add them up and then subtract it from 180 to find out what y is going to be. So we're going to write down 180 minus, add up 46 plus 46, or you can say 46 times 2. 46 plus 46 is 92. And then subtract that from 180, and we get 88. So y is 88. You have to add up to 180. So in this case, this is very popular. They're only giving you one angle of an isosceles triangle, but you know that these two sides are equal, so that means x and y are equal. So this is what we're going to do each time. We're going to take this angle right here, which is 40, and we're going to say, well, what is 180 minus 40? And that's pretty easy. That's 140. And then we're going to, since they're equal, we're going to divide it by 2. So we divide it by 2, since they're equal, x is 70 and y is also 70. Okay, if we have 3 red marks, that means this angle is equal to this angle and equal to this angle. This is an equal angular triangle or equilateral triangle. So all my angles are equal, which means all my sides are going to be equal. So all my sides are 12. This one is 12, this one is 12. So we're trying to find out what x is. Well, 2x has to equal 12 because all my sides are equal. If you divide by 2, you're going to get x equals 6. All right, we have one more. We have the third angle theorem. If two angles of one triangle are congruent to the two angles of another triangle, then the third angles are also congruent or equal. We're going to put down congruent, okay? So we have this little mark right here means that there's 2 of them, so that means that it's equal to this one that's 2 of them. So that means this one is also 55. And this is 1, this is 65, so that's equal to this one, which also has 1, that means this is 65. Now this means that this one maybe would have 3. We can write this one has 3, 1, 2, 3, would be equal to this one with 3, 1, 2, 3. But we're trying to find the value of x. But we know that each of these angles, or the sum of these 3 angles, have to add up to be 180. So 55 plus 65 plus the other angle, which is, I kind of messed it up, 2x plus 30. 2x plus 30 has to equal to 180. We've got some like terms in this. 55 plus 65 plus 30, let's just add them up. That gives us 150. So we have 2x plus 150 equals 180. Subtract your 150 to move it to the other side. And we're going to get 2x equals 30. Divide by 2, x equals 15. And that's it. Plug it back in, you'll find this angle. Try it out, guys. Plug it back in, and you'll find that angle. All right, that is the end of this section, and I will see you later.